Okay, so today we're diving into something huge. We're talking about the story of World War II. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a look at a conflict that literally changed the entire world, and you can still see its impact today. We're going to cover how it all started, some of those massive turning points, and the really tough questions it still makes us ask.
From 1939 to 1945, the world fell into darkness. I mean, think about that for a second. That line says it all, doesn't it? This wasn't just some regional fight. For 6 long years, this was a shadow that fell over pretty much every single continent. It completely changed the way we think about war, forever.
All right, so how on earth does something like a world war just happen? Well, the short answer is, it doesn't. It's not like a switch was flipped. It's more like a slow-burning fuse. So before we get to the explosion, we've got to look at what was happening in the years leading up to it, when all that pressure was building up under the surface.
Yeah, there's no one single thing you can point to. It was more like a perfect storm of problems all hitting at once. You had economies completely wrecked after World War I, which left people desperate. And into that desperation stepped these really powerful, aggressive dictators. You've got Germany, Italy, and Japan, and they weren't just trying to recover. Oh no, they were arming themselves to the teeth, dreaming of empire and dominance. You can just see how this was putting them on a direct collision course with everybody else.
And then it happened. That fragile piece just shattered into a million pieces. The world could only watch as this new, terrifying kind of war started to just consume Europe. Country by country, the dominoes began to fall.
September 1st, 1939. That's the date it officially kicks off, with Germany invading Poland. But what really shocked everyone wasn't just the invasion, it was how they did it. They called it Blitzkrieg, which means lightning war, and that's exactly what it was. Just this unbelievably fast, brutal combination of tanks and air power all hitting you at once. It was so effective that they just rolled over country after country. I mean, even France, a major military power, fell in a matter of months. It felt unstoppable.
So with pretty much all of mainland Europe under Nazi control, there was just one country left standing in Hitler's way: Great Britain. The plan was simple. The German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, would just bomb the island into rubble to prepare for a full-scale invasion. And honestly, on paper, it looked impossible for the British. They were outnumbered, exhausted, but they had guts. The Royal Air Force, with a little help from new tech like radar, just refused to break. They held on, and this was huge. It was the very first time the German war machine was actually stopped. It showed the world that Hitler could, in fact, be beaten. Okay, so the Battle of Britain was a massive morale boost, a real glimmer of hope. But let's be real, the odds were still stacked against the Allies. They needed something big, a real game changer, to actually turn the tide of the war. And across the Atlantic, there was this sleeping giant, a massive industrial powerhouse that, so far, had tried its best to stay out of the fight.
December 7th, 1941. This is the day everything changed, the day the conflict in Europe officially exploded into a true world war. One single event on this day was about to pull America in, whether it wanted to be or not.
So what happened? Japan, trying to expand its own empire in Asia, launched a massive surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The idea was to cripple the American fleet in the Pacific in one single knockout punch. But it completely backfired. Instead of scaring America off, it did the exact opposite. It united a country that had been divided on the war, and it woke up that sleeping giant. From that moment on, the full industrial and military power of the United States was aimed squarely at the Axis.
But you know, as all these massive battles and strategic moves were happening, something else was going on. Something darker. In the parts of Europe controlled by the Nazis, a horror was unfolding on a scale that's just hard to even comprehend. We have to talk about it, because it's a chapter of history that casts a shadow over everything. 6 million. Just try to wrap your head around that number. 6 million Jewish people, men, women, and children, were systematically murdered, wiped out in the Holocaust.
And it wasn't only Jewish people. The Nazis' horrifying ideology targeted millions of others too. Poles, Roma people, political opponents, so many others were hunted down, imprisoned, tortured, and murdered. It was killing on an industrial scale, and it's a stark reminder of the absolute worst that humanity is capable of.
Okay, so with the full weight of the United States now in the fight, the momentum starts to shift. The Allies are no longer just trying to survive. The goal is now much, much bigger. Push back, liberate all of Europe, and bring the Nazi regime down for good. And this is the moment it all comes to a head.
D-Day, June 6, 1944. The Allies launched the single largest seaborne invasion in all of human history, hitting the beaches of Normandy in France. I mean, you can't even imagine the scale, the risk, the sheer chaos. Thousands of soldiers storming those beaches, running into a wall of gunfire. But they did it. They secured a foothold. And that was it, the beginning of the end for the Nazis in Western Europe.
So D-Day opened up that critical second front. You have the Soviets pushing from the east, and the other allies now pushing from the west, basically squeezing the German army from both sides. By early 1945, it's over in Europe. Germany collapses. But the war wasn't done. The fighting in the Pacific against Japan was still incredibly brutal. And that led to the war's final, terrifying chapter, the use of 2 atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August. That decision, of course, forced Japan's surrender and officially ended World War II. But it also kicked off the nuclear age.
A war that showed our darkest cruelty and our greatest courage. That really gets the heart of it, doesn't it? When you look at the whole story, it's just full of these crazy contradictions. You see the absolute worst, the most evil things people can do. But at the exact same time, you see these incredible acts of bravery, of sacrifice, and the best of the human spirit.
And the thing is, the echoes of this war are still with us. You can see it in our politics, our technology, it's everywhere. And if it teaches us one thing, it's that peace is unbelievably fragile. You can't take it for granted. So that leaves us, all of us, with a really important question, right? It's not just about remembering what happened. It's about figuring out, how do we make sure we never, ever repeat it?